You guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Suppose I need my volume on.
Kendra,
Hello.
can you give me a call after the meeting, please?
Sure. Can you give me your number real quick?
Sure, 608-234-1700.
Okay.
Oops, I better get that phone in that case.
Yeah.
Looks like we could have a meeting. 5 of us. Do you know of any others, Brett or Jeremy?
We got Luke, Tom, Carl's not on. That's interesting.
I'm not seeing Kelsey.
Yeah, Carl said he was going to be on.
Yeah, I was surprised. I just talked with him earlier. Well, 6:03, we'll give him a couple of minutes. That'll let me get all my spreadsheets open again. I had everything open, went and had a quick sandwich. Everything closed.
Well, Tom, it's 6:04. I mean, should we just? I can email him right quick.
Yeah, would you please? Okay. 6:05, let's go. I don't see anybody other than people we recognize, know, and et cetera, so no public to listen to. Approval of minutes. I wasn't at that meeting. Someone want to move approval, please?
I'll make that motion to approve. This is Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Do I have a second?
Seconded. This is Luke.
Thanks, Luke. All in favor, say aye.
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 That's enough. Approved. Gulf Operation Financial Update, Jeremy.
Give me one second. So we have 6 of you on. Okay, got it. Okay, right? No.
6, including you, Jeremy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Thank you. Okay. All right. So golf operation. I mean, things are moving along as planned. Do you guys have any questions on the financials?
I just have a couple basic ones, Jeremy, this is Mark.
Yep,
And these are for July, correct?
yep.
Okay.
Well, they're through July.
I
For
thought
the
through
year.
July, correct. And so and I'm just always trying to educate myself here on what a year looks like. And the pro shop expenses were very light for the month. And I think we're on a cash basis here. Is that it was like $3,000 in the previous 3 months, it was between 45 and 50. So I don't know if there's stuff missing there, or it's just a matter of when you get to July, you're not purchasing, you're not building or purchasing any more inventory. Is that
Are you talking
what's,
about hard goods, soft goods sales?
I'm
Or,
talking
expenses?
pro shop expenses in total on the Gulf account listing
Oh,
page.
in total, got it. Okay, so the other thing is that we submit credit cards in late July, and so a lot of the credit card expenses have not hit the books.
Okay, because we're purchasing using a credit card, is that?
Mhm. We
Okay,
do a lot of purchasing using credit cards.
okay. Yeah, just that month was really light, and I'm just thinking, well, maybe we're not building up inventory any longer because we're now getting, more than halfway through the season. So I was just curious because that was really light, as was the grounds operating expenses. Those were all zero every one of those was zero for the month of July.
Yep, so we pay as many expenses as we can via a credit card to get essentially the credit card rewards, right? The rebates.
Oh, sure.
Any credit cards, any companies that we do business with that has fees, we submit through typical AP invoicing.
Okay.
And then, so in the month of July, what you're seeing is only the AP invoicing. And actually, it could have been a situation where we had invoices that maybe didn't get cut checks because of the way that the Common Council, meetings panned out.
Okay.
So that is a good eye, though. Not all the expenses in July are accurate.
Okay.
Jeremy, were you planning on buying a lot of range balls this year?
Yeah, I mean, we have, yeah, we've got,
Well, I was just curious because it shows a $15,000 expense item in the budget.
yeah, we paid for like $7,000 of range balls, I think, in July.
Thanks.
And I think
Anybody else?
what we're gonna do is we're gonna do one more of those is the game
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah. Anybody else?
No, I'm good. That's all I had.
Moving on, operating budget.
So. Well, first off, did everybody get my way too early projections?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that includes expenses from July through December 31st of 2021, right? And it includes revenues from January 1st through July 31st, 2022. So, sorry, go back to the expenses. Expenses from January 1 through June 30th, right? 2022. And then the expenses July through December 2021. And then moving on to revenues from January 1 through July 31st, 2022. And then August, September, October, November, December are 2021, right? So that's where I got my way too early projections, okay? And then did everybody get, I'll save the cash flow for capital, I think. Well, no, I won't, because they kind of go hand in hand. All right, so let's move on to the operating budget. So here's what I did, everybody, is let me pull this up. From a revenue standpoint, all right, I took a 10% reduction in 2023. And the reason why we're doing 10% is we are not seeing trends of a slowdown regardless of the construction. Not one golf outing has said they're not coming back. I'm already getting booked up into next year where we can't host any more golf outings. I am not seeing any slowdown whatsoever. I talked to the Oaks that went through a renovation project this year. They did not see any slowdowns. I know that they don't have Pleasant View Road. So I did base it on a 10% reduction. And then on the expense side of things, I just adjusted things based on the expenditures, right? So all of our cost of goods sold has a direct correlation to the revenue source. In other words, food, for example, we try to keep it at 33% cost. So if food revenues go down, the food expenses go down accordingly. Same thing for liquor, beer, hard goods, soft goods. They're all correlated to the revenue source. So that's how I came up with, the revenues versus expenses. And frankly, I could have put this to 15% and then just adjusted the expenses accordingly, right? So however we shake a stick at this, the goal is that we come out even. Okay, but be aware that we are not adding to our capital reserve because we're going to be using some of it. Right, so we're still going to pay the city the $400,000 per TID. We got to pay pilot. That's new this year, right? So 93 grand in pilot, which is a reflection of 3.19% on gross receipts. So that will fluctuate based on revenues. And then we're going to pay, we've got $300,000 capital expenditure that we're going to have. And then we've got typically the 100 grand of reserve fund that we put back in, but this year, we're not using that. We're not doing that. I think the biggest things that you'd be aware of is that, there's a couple things. Number one, Becky Halverson is going through PGA. I don't want to call it school, but she's in her level 3 of the PGA to try to obtain her membership in the Professional Golf Association. And so she's in level 2. She's level 2 certified right now, and so she's working on level 3. And this will be year 4 of her trying to do this stuff, right? So this is not like this is a situation where there's a couple webinars. This is years of doing things. Once she obtains and gets elected into membership, I do believe she should be promoted to some degree and be rewarded accordingly. So I do have a $10,000 line item increase for her. And this is, albeit part of my 2025 reset where we start, getting parity in some of the pay. Mm-hmm. So I do have that in there. I'm not saying that, obviously it's a pretty precarious year, right? But when she does get elected into membership, I just feel it's the right thing to do. She does a tremendous amount of work for this facility. She is a pivotal resource and frankly asset to Pleasant View Golf Course. And these numbers, as far as the revenue and expense side, would not be where they're at without her help. So there's I can go into that in deeper if you guys would like, but so that's one line item. And then we've got, obviously the retirement line item increase, which would be a reflection on Becky's possible promotion. The insurance, that was per Bill Burns in the finance department increase. Pilot, we've got that. So pilot's going to go in there. That's a line item increase, which is new, $95,000 ish or 93, whatever the number was. And then I've got the capital reserve increasing as an expense because we're using that to fund the renovation. Other than that, everything else is a direct correlation to its revenue source.
Questions?
Jeremy?
Yeah.
This is Mark. So I'm certainly not challenging you on any of this. You've done this a lot of these, and you know what you're doing. My only thought is, and I don't even know if this is even a valid comment on my part, because you are already reducing, your revenues, you're doing a 10% drop. Okay. Which should be fine. I like to be conservative when I do this stuff. My only thoughts were, weather loss. I don't think, as somebody that's golfing quite a bit, there hasn't been a lot of weather loss this year for you. Unless I'm not thinking it through correctly. And I don't know how much, if that's part of the 10%, if that's enough to cover it. You haven't really had a lot of washouts this year where people couldn't play golf. So that'd be one thought, just to make sure. And then the other thought I had was on memberships, and as a member, when I kind of start looking at this in January or February, whenever I renew again, that I'm sure you're going to be doing some sort of communication to the members, like in January or something, and just saying, hey, there's a lot of changes going on. You're not going to be able to play this hole, or this hole is going to be different. And I don't know if no basis for it. I'm just curious as to if you think, you're going to lose. Maybe some people aren't going to renew because of that, and if the 10%'s enough for that. That's all I'm asking on this.
Yeah, no, those are good questions. Question number one, we didn't have a March or an April. We got smoked weather-wise this spring. I mean,
Okay,
we're
I don't
talking
even
March,
remember that.
like
That's so long
100
ago, I don't even remember.
Yeah, like
Okay.
150 grand lower than
Okay.
last year's start.
Fair enough.
So I think weather has played itself out this year,
Okay.
right? But it's not a terrible question, right? The other thing is I didn't base it off of this year's projections, which we're planning right now to exceed budget.
Yeah,
I based it off of our budget expectations.
I see that from 2022.
So it's
Yeah.
not quite 10% from this year, it's 10% from our budget.
Okay.
So you could argue right now, if I'm looking at let's just say we'll just stick with just golf alone, right? So I'm projecting, let's just say 1,447. What did I say with the?
Yep, projecting 1,447 on greens fees, but then the budget, you're using the 1.3 less the
Right.
144.
Right.
So you got about 1.25 million. So yeah, I see that's 200 that's 200 grand under this year. So that's more than 10%. So I'm gonna retract all of my comments and questions.
Well, but that was just my thinking. That was my way to make it a more conservative 10%.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm with you.
And then let's see, what was the other question? Sorry, I lost train of thought there.
Oh, that was it. Just the weather, and then the membership, the members, the membership renewals.
Yeah, the memberships. Carl just joined 619. And I know it's completely subjective right now, but we're not seeing that. We're not seeing the trends of oh, we're not coming back. It's like, oh, okay, cool, sounds good, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with our leagues. We're not seeing any slowdown.
Yeah. I think most of us are thinking it is what it is next year. Understand it's a transition year. I just don't know if I was in the minority or majority on that.
No, and ladies and gentlemen, you have to realize that everything is going to have an effect based on revenue. So if we don't sell food, well, our cost of food sold goes way down, right? If we don't have public to play golf, our staff costs goes way down. I think it's going to be really difficult to manage to guess. All right, we're going to hit $300 or $3 million in revenue next year. I'd like to exceed that, to be honest. That's my goal. But if it's 4 million, well, I got news for you. Then our expenses are going to be higher. It's going to exceed budget.
Yeah, and
right?
I know it's just a budget,
Yeah.
like you said. It's just a budget. I get it.
I think ultimately, folks, is I want to make sure we pay for all expenses. I want to make sure that we fund our capital expenditures, and I want to make sure we pay pilot and the debt. That's you know, my goal next year, and it's to break even.
Okay.
Mark, I support your being conservative. And I also, there's not many people that say, oh, it's just a budget. For some reason, you know, budgets for a lot of people turn into, you may not do anything different. But we all know it's the same as a battle plan.
Yeah.
It changes before the first shot fired, so.
Yeah, yeah.
So Jeremy, I think what you've got is good. I think it's going to work. I'm a little concerned, as Mark is, about whether it's conservative enough. You know me, I'd always rather come in over than even a little under. But okay, I think it looks good, and we should probably go for it.
I'm good just for I'm good as it is here. I understand, I saw the 10,000 increase in salaries and you explained that. In my opinion, I'm good with how you have it, exactly how you have it. I'm fine with it.
What kind of help are you going to need with moving salaries like that?
I got to work with Brian in the HR department.
All right.
Yeah.
So if you need support from this group,
Yeah, I mean, frankly, I may, right? She works very hard, the hardest working bee we have here, no question. And
well, but I think that's generally true across your staff.
yeah, I do too. But she deserves it. You know, this, like I was saying, it's not just some certification where you just take some online. She's literally traveled to Florida 2 times to spend a few weeks down there to get trained in person. I mean, you know, this is like getting a major in golf, is the way I can describe it.
Okay. I assume you're not looking for approval yet?
No, I am, because I need to submit this by the 19th.
All right, then we need a motion.
Yep.
Approving this budget.
Oh, and for the record, I have updated decision items, you know, verbiage. You may have saw that was blank. It's
Yes.
literally everything that I told you. So, you know, I pretty much just read what I wrote.
Right. Someone make
All
a
right,
motion to
this-
move it, please.
This is Mark. Since I've had all the commentary on it, I'll make the motion that we approve it as is here, as prepared.
Second from someone, please.
Seconded. This is Luke.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? We're done with that.
Great. Okay, thank you very much. So let me close this out. Let me get my ducks in a row. Now we're moving on to capital. All right, if you could kindly pull up your, obviously the capital, and then if you could pull up the document of the debt, I believe is what I labeled it. I can't quite remember off the top of my head, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, cash flow projections with that cash flow projection, right? In fact, I might actually share my screen if that's okay, guys.
Yeah, that'd be good, Jeremy.
Okay. All right, can you see me here?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so you can see the projected in 2022, you know, we've got just over $4 million of gross revenue receipts, and then in operating expenses of just under 2.5. And then obviously it leaves us with roughly 1.6 million, right? And then we've received, that's for the land purchasing, right, along Pleasant View Road. But now remember, we're gonna use this to pay down part of TID, okay? And then we also, which hasn't been shown just quite yet, we did receive a small lump sum of like 18K from ATC recently. Do you recall that from a few meetings ago?
Yes.
Okay. But the reason why I have that highlighted is the final thought is that we remember we're going to be charged an assessment fee for the improvements along Pleasant View Road. What that number is, I don't know. Unfortunately, I've not seen anything for that, and I don't know when that's going to be. When I find out more information from, you know, Sean Stowski and the city engineers, I will pass that along. So just be aware of that. So this 206, maybe what we do is we get a number before the end of the year and we pay that assessment fee from that 206, and any remaining balance we apply to TID, which we can determine that later on once we have further information. But I just wanted, it was just a friendly reminder, right? Okay. So for right now, then we've got 300 in capital expenditure. So what I'm seeing as of today, ladies and gentlemen, assuming that everything holds true, you know, we're going to add about 800 grand to our capital reserve. So then in 2023, does anybody have any questions on that? Okay,
Nope.
then in 2023, I adjusted gross revenue receipts to the following budget. These are our operating expenses. We've got pilot of 95. We've got payment of 400. We've got our capital of 300. Okay, so if I do this 2.2 plus the 95 plus the 400 plus the 300, that equals, if you can see down here, see that 3 million? There's my wash. We broke even.
Oh, okay.
Does everybody see that? See my mouse right here?
Mhm.
Okay. And then here's our gross revenue receipts. There's our budget. Okay. And then we've got this number that's 621. That's for our course renovation.
Okay.
That we're going to reduce from our capital reserve fund, excuse me, which I'm projecting leaving us a balance of roughly $1.2 million at the end of next year. Now I know things can change, so let's give ourselves a 10% contingency, right? So we're over $1 million either way.
Mhm.
Which was our goal, right?
Right, exactly.
Then we start tinkering back up in revenues and what have you, and you can see that I've got in this area I've got 300 for our capital expense. Then I've got 300 reduction in our capital reserve. That's for the maintenance building.
Mhm.
Then you can see over in this item of 2026. Right, we've got 320 of reduction in capital reserve, then 550 in capital reserve reduction. So you can see that we're going to need to start using some of this reserve funds. And I thought it was really important that we put this in here. All right, any questions on all that so far? I hope that makes sense. Okay, so then now this leads me to, let me stop share and I'll bring up the budget. All right, I'll share here. All right, can everybody see the budget?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
So here's the capital budget. So just going through them right quick, Lake 2 and 3, that's being funded by TIF, right? And so I have that in the TIF funding source right over here. Y'all see that? Okay.
Yeah.
Then we've got internal golf renovation, right? And that's being funded by our general fund, okay? And then I have these other items. We've got signage and gate. We've got let me go through the easy ones. Seal coat parking lot, top dresser, and trap rake, right? These are some things that we want to put on our list for 2023, okay? Seal coat, I think that makes total sense to everybody. A fairway top dresser, we currently don't have one, and we're trying to improve the quality and health of our fairways. And so we're looking to purchase a larger top dress spreader which will essentially effectively reduce diseases and make the fairways better playing surface for the customers. So we're trying to supplement that one. I would say that would be lower on the priority list. So if something does come up where we need 25K, we can use that in another area. And the same with this trap rake. Our trap rake broke down, and so we're looking at, we could fix it, but we'd also maybe potentially like to replace that. So those are the what those are in there for. Now the funding source of those, we've got our user fees, so that would be the 300K, right? So if you look, part of the internal golf renovation, 170 will be used for our funding source, and then these other areas. So this equates to 300K right here. Does that all make sense? All right. Then we've got the sign and the gate. Now, TID is paying for a like-for-like replacement of our sign, right? So they're bulldozing down our sign either this fall or early next spring, and our gates go, like everything's going to be kind of taken away, and so we're going to have a temporary sign or no sign. We haven't quite figured out a solution just yet. So we will be without any form of official entrance during construction. And so once, I guess the whole premise is that they would pay for the relocation and new construction of our like for like. And then what we were deciding was, okay, do we want to do this upgrade ourselves? You know, a better gate, which we need a better gate for the love of, you know, our current gate is awful. We need to upgrade the, oh yeah, okay, sorry, I just had a thought. We need to upgrade our fencing. So last night, we had 2 people steal a cart at 2:30 in the morning and do joy rides around our parking or around our golf course on the greens. Yep. We've got video of them at 2:57 in the morning last night, or I guess this morning. So I will not back down on the security of this golf course and the need for a gate and need for fencing. Luckily, no severe damage was done. But yeah, just an unfortunate situation. So anyway, but so TID will be paying for like, and then Pleasant View Golf Course will be funding any upgrades that we decide to move along. And then you can see the potential, sorry, jumping here. So then we've got this maintenance building addition and master plan. So I got to this whole, I was starting to almost have anxiety because I'm sitting here going, all right, what do we need up at the clubhouse? Well, we need storage. You could argue want a pavilion, okay, for an outing pavilion. And then we need to explore potential EV solutions for our cart fleet. So then it got me thinking, it's like, okay, we need a storage shed. So let's combine the storage shed with the maintenance building to try to keep costs down. And then I'm like, well, but what are we going to do if we build a pavilion? Maybe we could put storage up here with the pavilion, so we don't need a separate storage shed. And I'm like, well, but then what about EVs? Where are we going to put any EV infrastructure? We have 100 carts that we need to charge. We don't have that space downstairs. So I'm like, well, what if we put an EV infrastructure outside, you know, adjacent to the pavilion? And then my thought goes, well, if we have all the carts outside, what do we need a storage shed for? Because we could just use the storage downstairs, because we have an empty cart barn. So you see where my mind started like spinning. Oh, I don't know what to do here. You know, is the chicken or the egg type of a situation. And so, you know, I was talking to a consultant and or a person that does design work for, frankly, it was Blake from our Architecture, and they're putting together a proposal to do a phase 1 master plan for the clubhouse, which entails storage, outing pavilion, EV solution. I don't think it's smart for us to spend 75 grand on storage if we don't know if we need storage or not in 5 years.
So the 20,000 is for consulting then to to kind of help you spend that 500,000 the best way.
Well, and it includes the bid doc and design preparation for the maintenance building.
Okay.
So it's a 2-package deal.
Mhm.
So then you'll note down below, I start sprinkling in, okay, storage shed. I don't know if that's a 2024. I have no idea, guys, right? I'm just guessing here based on our immediate needs. Storage is our number 1 need, right? Pavilion would be a number 2 need. And then EV would be, I don't, the need to explore, we'll say. So I start sprinkling that in there, right? Then I've got outdoor outing pavilion, then I've got EV cart infrastructure, right? And those are tied into, remember those numbers I was showing you in our cash flow projection sheet? Those are all numbers that have been tied into there. But the more and more I think about this, the more a master plan, I don't disagree with getting a master plan going, and then I don't disagree with refining our capital reserve study.
Yeah.
But I think a master plan for at least the heart of the operation needs to occur first.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
I think it's a good idea.
I do too.
And then, later on the road, I mean, we've got, believe it or not, this clubhouse is 15 years old. We need to look at, do we need to look at interior upgrades? Do we want to redo the bathrooms? Do we want to, redo the bar and make it more current? These are things that we got to start thinking about, as opposed to just letting things just continue to get older and older. And so maybe that can be part of the master plan. I don't know. So. But I've started to sprinkle all those in there. And then we've got our parking lot that Strand suggested that we redo, or excuse me, not Strand, I'm sorry. Our capital reserve study suggested that we redo.
I don't remember on the capital reserve, did they suggest that we replace our sprinkler system, the in-ground system?
Yeah, so we looked into that, and we've gone to what we're doing is we're finding where the errors are and we're fixing them.
Yeah, I
As
know
opposed-
you are. I'm just wondering if you want to carry that as a line item in a non-year category. Because it's the kind of number that'll get people's attention when they start asking you why you've got $1 million reserve. Doesn't hurt to see it.
We could, I could add that in there,
Suggest you do.
or maybe it's a,
I would suggest, Jeremy, that you put in, maybe it's a far right column or something that says date unknown, but you know the need and you know the estimated cost.
yeah, I can't tweak the spreadsheet.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I don't mean now. I mean
Yeah.
someday in the future.
Oh, I don't disagree. I think there's a lot of things, and that's part of this master plan where I think we really need to kind of
Yep,
dive into
no,
this.
I agree.
Yeah. So there's my capital, and then basically the narrative. I know that I gave you blank slates, but over the weekend I completed the narrative, and it's basically exactly what I just told you all. So it's all. I'm ready to rock and roll if this is good by you guys.
Questions? Comments? Hearing none? Need a motion?
This is Luke, motion to approve.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, motion to approve. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Luke.
So I think Luke just said we should move this forward.
Yes, sorry.
And I will second that.
Who was that?
Carl,
Carl? Thanks, Carl.
All
you're
those in
welcome,
favor?
Jeremy. It looks good.
I'm sorry. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Pleasant View Road entrance sign update.
PV road update. I really don't have a PV road update. Kendra, have you heard anything? I know they're waiting on the letting date. Nothing. I looked like that apartment building got deferred to some other committee, so
Hmm.
I don't have an update there. I know that there was a lot of people that, or not a lot of people, but it looks like in the minutes that there were a few people that were opposed to it.
Yeah. They always show
Um,
up, Jeremy.
Yeah, but I really have no other update currently, except for the conceptual monument, right, for Pleasant View's entrance.
Mhm.
Okay, well, let me take the conversation for a second. Jeremy and I had a conversation earlier today, and we're not in agreement on this. I asked if it was possible to defer building the entrance sign for up to a year. And let me tell you why. Looking at the capital sheet, you know it's going to cost 80,000, half of which the course has to spend, half of which is being provided by the city as like for like replacement. My concern is that I think we need it. I know we want it, but the city is also going to the tax base right now, asking for $770,000 to, among other things, hire some policemen. And I'm worried about the optics of us putting up an $80,000 entrance while taxes are going up to get more police protection. You can talk me down from this, but politically, I worry that it will be a future black eye for the course. What could it mean? I don't know, and maybe I'm being way overreactive to this. But I worked my entire career in a highly politicized environment, and I know how these things can just blow up in your face. So I think it's worth at least having a conversation. Jeremy says he'll do whatever the committee decides to do. I'm certainly not going to get in front of or push one way or the other. I just want you to know we had this disagreement, and I'm just tossing it out for conversation. And I don't know why people are calling these damn numbers tonight. So that's it. What do you think?
Is the concern that there's not the nuance there of the for like is really what the taxpayers are paying and then the club's paying the rest though, right?
That's a fact.
Right. So but taxpayers may not see that nuance. They might just see.
Taxpayers never see nuance. But again, that's my bias.
But that's where my job is to educate them. We are literally paying, 95K for the city this year, right?
Yep.
And so, look, here's the reason why I disagree. I believe, so we've already set this thing in motion. You guys literally just passed a budget that has that line item on there, right? So it's like,
Note that I let that
we should
go.
go back and not approve that budget. So that's why I think I'm struggling with that. And so beyond that struggle, right? I truly believe we need to do what's best for Pleasant View Golf Course and in conjunction with the road, right? And if the road dictates that, hey, this doesn't get done until 2024 because we're behind schedule, fine. I'm all in for that. But I want to do what's right for the timing of the city and the engineers that have already put work into this, for me, who've already put work into this, and for our consultant that's already put work into this. And if Strand and the folks that are building this road are saying, Jeremy, we need to push this into 2024, I'm in. But if they're sitting there saying, no, this goes in or it doesn't, we're going. I think we need to move forward. Now is the time to do it in conjunction with the road. That's my argument.
My argument to that argument was, we can afford to do this anytime we want to. TID would be nice. It'll cost us more to do it later, but it's not like we don't have the money.
But see, that's the
He's going
problem.
nuts because he hates wasting money. I do too.
Why would we do that? well, let's just throw another 20 grand on it. Like, this doesn't make any sense.
I'll tell you why. we
My
would do
my narrow, short-sighted maybe view of this is, we're gonna be paying 93 or 95,000 in pilot this year, and then we'll get 40 of that back, whenever we do this. And I think there's your justification for doing it. That's the way I look at it.
Luke, how do you feel?
I think my head goes more to I kind of agree with the road's going to be a disaster. This is the perfect time to do work for the sign while things are kind of all torn up and being fixed. So I think that the public would kind of view it as like, oh, this is an opportunity to fix the sign. That road's all tore up. That makes sense. I don't dive into my taxes that much, so I don't know that side of the house. I'm just coming at it from like the user's perspective. And it's like, if you renovate your house, oh, and we can do this other thing at the same time while we're renovating, that just makes sense. That's kind of how I'm.
You got to meet Mark. Mark's all about tax.
But so I would say I would be team do it.
All right. Well, okay. Carl?
It's kind of my sense too with Luke. I mean, if we're going to do something, if we're going to do it, it would just make sense to do it all at the same time when things are all a mess anyway. And I think people would expect that if we're going to do it, that's the time to do it. So I honestly don't think we get a lot of questions on it. I don't think the optics would be that bad, Tom. That's my feeling.
All right, I'm going to ask one more person because Kendra's already been, and she has, with body language, told us where she's going. Brad?
I figured you're coming to me.
Well,
So-
yeah, because here's the question. Here's the question that's going to get asked. $80,000 argument or another cop?
We'll
That's
just, I'll just
not,
bring the
that's,
paint up.
hold on. That's not entirely accurate or a fair question because it's not how it works.
That's how
So-
the paper will ask the question.
Yeah, but then they're misinformed, right? And it's our job, or frankly, Kendra's job, to inform them, but that's not how this is working. So
What do you think,
no, if a new sign goes in that does not, I want to be, for the record, to anybody that's watching this, if a new sign does not go in, that does not mean a new staff member.
I didn't say that, Jeremy.
No,
What I
but
said is that the perception will
okay,
be asked, and I asked it of a police officer because I
Fair.
wonder how it's,
fair. But Tom, you
maybe
okay.
no one is going to think like I do.
Okay, I'm just making sure we're clear. That's all. That's
What do you
it.
think, Brad?
I agree with Carl and Luke. If we're gonna do some stuff to the course, get it all done at one point, and I just think that's gonna save you from years down the road of having more issues pop up. So I say if we're all in right now, let's just go all in.
Okay. There's nothing to vote on here.
No. And guys,
It's just a conversation.
if Strand is saying that 2024 is the timeline, I'm fine with that. I really am.
Mhm.
It's not that I'm opposed to a timeline. I want to do it with what works well for what's already been in motion for 6, 7, 8 months.
Okay.
This is not like we just yesterday came up with, oh, let's do this. That's all. And gosh, I mean, the bridge is going to be beautiful. I think it's time in conjunction with the bridge. And speaking of which, Parkitecture did a really nice job of Kendra, by the way, awesome suggestion about going to the bridge because it ties directly in line with what the bridge is going to look like.
Okay. Future agenda items.
Well, so hold tight. Do we like it?
Yeah.
I really like I like the changes since we last spoke. My only question was just around did they give any feedback around the placement of it? Because in the graphics, it still looks like it's facing not towards the hill. It's facing like out, whereas the current sign. Can you clarify that?
Yep. So a couple things. All right. Okay, let me the notes that I've got, right, is the stone is going to be just like the bridge, right? Same color, same material, etc. Right? Or that's the goal, is to tie it in with the bridge. Okay. And then the PV is going to be that, like that copper tone rustic, right? I think we should. My first initial feedback was the PV is way too high. I think we need to cut that thing down by at least 33%. Make it like an 8-foot or 6-foot PV as opposed to a 12-foot PV. That was my initial thought. They're doing some form of 3D work with like the driftless region and creating kind of this outcropping of rocks to make it a little bit more 3D to keep it to tie in with the driftless theme that the bridge has. And then finally, if we want a PV, there's not the best way to create a symmetrical PV that goes north-south. So it would be perpendicular, but their entire team felt the way that this would sit into the hill and the way that it would flow with traffic, that it would look very, very good. Then the other thought is that we would just underneath, it would just say Pleasant View Golf Course, and that's it. Okay, no 36 holes, no public welcome, no bar and grill, no hours, just Pleasant View Golf Course. Keep it simple, stupid. Yeah, and then sprinkle a couple goats in there, which is what you're seeing.
Right.
Suzanne
Yeah.
thought they looked like small deer.
Yeah, they do actually. I thought the same thing.
She said, what do deer have to do with Pleasant View? Okay.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, you can't make a PV look the same from two different directions because it's going to be
Right.
backed on one.
Exactly.
The only thing I thought of is like, I'm just putting myself in, I'm coming to Golf Pleasant View for the first time. I'm driving down this road. The turn, I'll be honest, isn't the most obvious for newbies. So like, that's where I was trying to think, how could you have the sign hit you while you're driving? That's all.
Well, not yet.
Okay.
You got to think about that hill's coming down 17 feet.
Right.
So
Yeah. On the way up.
yeah, and then obviously as you're coming from the other way, I mean, you can literally see the golf course.
Mhm.
True.
And then the other thing that my thought is that these old school signs, these perpendicular signs, this is before really, Apple or Google Maps, right? Or the internet. It was always a billboard. Hey, we're 27 holes, public is welcome, come on in. I don't think we need to do that anymore, but I thought this was a really neat entrance that was really simple and it reflected some that hey, we are a nice golf course, but we've got some rust to it and we're okay with that.
Yeah,
So-
I totally agree. It was mostly coming from my own experience of driving to golf courses in like rural Wisconsin and completely missing the entrance.
Yeah.
Even in the day of Google Maps, I've done that many.
Sand Valley is have you tried Sand Valley?
I could barely see Sand Valley. It's on like a deserted road, it feels like, because the sun.
Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway. And look, back to Tom's original concern, guys, ultimately I'm happy to do with whatever the committee and the finance and the common council to give us direction to do, right? I think you all know that of me. I might put up a fight, but I fight for Pleasant View. Maybe too hard sometimes.
Well, I think in our defense, Jeremy, and in yours as well, I expect nothing less from you.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I fight for the course, and I also think I'm here because I'm a citizen. So
I don't
feel a
disagree.
tug in both directions. And my sole intent was, I don't want P-View somehow injured over this. So let's
Well-
move forward and make sure it doesn't happen.
I think with us doing pilot, that's why I think I was so into doing pilot. Because now we can start giving back, like officially giving back, not just paying debt, but actually helping them potentially hire a staff member.
Well, I have spoken with committee members from back in the days when they bought it. And the comment that struck me most was, oh, now it can finally turn into the cash cow it's supposed to be. That kind of conversation doesn't sit well with me because that's not taking care of the course.
Right. And then for the new folks on the committee, you know, pilot is, so this is what we're doing until we're out of debt, 2026, 2027, depending on the situation. And then, you know, I think at that time in 2026, 2027, we'll renegotiate pilot. Well, I think this is a really nice entry level give back to the city. While frankly, it's a very tough year, and a tough year for the city too. I mean, clearly they're looking for some additional areas of revenue, and I'm very happy to be a part of that. But you know, certainly we've got some challenges ahead of ourselves, and anyway, but we'll be good. I'm good.
Okay,
And I appreciate that, Tom, right? I appreciate you looking out for the other side and keep me on my reins from not caring too much about Pleasant View sometimes, but.
yeah, right, try that.
Can I just ask a dumb question about that multi-use trail in the front? Is that like gonna be like a heavily used path, like a bike path? Type?
Think of it as a target, Luke.
Yeah, so you're talking along Pleasant View Road?
Right, so in the graphic, sorry, for the graphic for the sign on the first slide, actually, it says the multi-use trail actually cuts across your entrance into Pleasant View. I'm just picturing like, you know, 5, 6 o'clock where that's busy in and out of Pleasant View. I just didn't know how that pedestrian traffic was gonna flow.
We've expressed concerns as well. I don't know that answer very well. Yeah. So that multi-use path is going to be connected from, you know, the city of Middleton from the east, and also from the south in the city of Madison. That's multi-use path is coming from the southern portion of Pleasant View Road as well. How many, what the volume is going to be like, I don't know, Luke. But I've seen our golf course at 5, 6 o'clock, and I've seen the number of people trying to get in, and seen the number of people leaving. And I think that's why we've always fought with not having this multi-use path get dumped on Pleasant View Golf Course's driveway, because our driveway is a busy driveway. It's more of a road. But we fought. We expressed our concerns, you know.
Okay, thanks.
Future items. Golf operations financial, of course. Pleasant View Road update. We wish we'd get one. You want to start carrying one for master plan update, or do you want to call it something else? Future planning?
Why don't we keep it a capital reserve discussion?
Well, that's good.
Okay.
That's good. All right. Anybody else have suggestions?
It's good.
Okay.
If for some reason we don't have anything where it jumps up, obviously I'll send you guys the financials, right? And I might just cancel the September meeting, but we'll see. Because, you know, right now it would just be really, we'd only have 3 agenda items, but who knows, that might change in a month, so.
Let's take a look at a month out and see what's going on.
Oh, one thing, I don't know if you all noticed, but Mark, remember I was mentioning in April, you know, we really lost March and April, and we were down significantly. I mean, I don't know the exact number, but it was over 100 grand from gross revenue receipts.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've officially surpassed, as of, you know, the end of July,
Wow.
last year's gross revenue receipts.
God, I did pick up on that. Yeah. That's a good point to make. Yeah.
So if we're looking at, see what this says. That's not me. 12th or 19th September?
My vote would be the 19th, just to give us one more week in case something pops up.
Works for me.
Works for me too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Somebody move adjournment. I'm not supposed to do this, but I move adjournment.
I'll second.
Thank you. I saw you fixing dinner. I would have seconded.
Yeah,
Oh, wait, call me, please.
I will.
Okay. All in favor? Oh, no, we didn't. Well, go ahead.
Aye.
All right.
We're done.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great night.
Good night.
Thank you.